Hi everybody, welcome to My Mom's Recipe Box. Today on My Mom's Recipe Box, we're going to be making my mom's famous chocolate chip cake. This cake, everybody loved it. It's really simple to make, and funny story about my mom's chocolate chip cake is we used to go to this restaurant called Bonefish, and we'd go for birthdays and just when we wanted to celebrate. It was one of my parents' favorite restaurants. Now this restaurant was a nice seafood restaurant. It had really good food and it had a big dessert menu, okay? But my mom, whenever we went to celebrate, she would always make a chocolate chip cake and she'd bring it to the restaurant and she'd just come in and say, hey, we're celebrating a birthday and have this cake, is that okay? And the waiters would come out with plates and they'd cut it for us and they'd serve us. And my mom would always cut a big chunk of it to give to the wait staff and they loved it. So that was the story of my mom's chocolate chip cake. Also, at her funeral, part of the eulogy was the recipe for my mom's chocolate chip cake. And I'm not kidding you, people were writing at the funeral, okay? And even after the service, I got letters from some of my mom's friends saying, hey, could you write down that recipe for the chocolate chip cake? So, of course, I always obliged. And when my brother got married 2 years ago, he asked the local baker to make him my mom's chocolate chip cake for his groom's cake. So the legend is living on, and now you're going to get to share it as well. This is the recipe for my mom's chocolate chip cake. It's very easy. Here are the things you're going to need to make this delicious cake, okay? The first thing you're going to need is cake mix. This is a chocolate chip cake, so I like chocolate. I like to use a chocolate cake and I like to use a chocolate instant pudding mix. My mom would use a yellow cake mix and chocolate pudding. So her cake was sort of a milk chocolate cake. I'm a chocoholic, so for me it's chocolate all the way. So chocolate cake mix, chocolate instant pudding mix. Then you're going to need 8 ounces of sour cream. You're going to need a ½ cup of vegetable oil. You're going to need vanilla extract because if you're baking, you're going to be using vanilla extract. I don't care if the recipe calls for it or not. You're putting it in, okay? And the next thing you're going to need is 4 eggs, all right? And are you wondering what this little dish is for? I'll tell you. Never crack eggs right in your cake batter because if you get a shell in there, you're never going to be able to pick it out, okay? So what we do is we break 1 egg at a time into this little dish and we put it in the batter, okay? So you guys ready to get started? Let's get to work. First thing you want to do is preheat your oven, 350 degrees. Okay. Okay, so that's done. The next thing you want to do is get your bowl. And you want to start with the dry ingredients, okay? We'll get this recipe box out of the way. And here we go. Okay, chocolate cake mix. We are Duncan Hines fans in my mom's family, but obviously you can use whatever cake mix you like. I would say don't use the cake mix that has pudding in it because you're putting pudding in this. That might be too much pudding. I don't know. Okay. Everybody has a junk drawer. Make sure you have scissors in your junk drawer. Okay. All right. Cake mix in. Okay. Next thing is the pudding. Now this was on sale. Otherwise, we wouldn't necessarily use such a fancy schmancy pudding in our cake. You can use Jell-O. You can use a store brand. Doesn't matter. Okay, let's get this in our bowl, minus the paper. There you go. Oh, look how nice and dark that is. This is going to be a very chocolatey chocolate chip cake. Okay, the next thing you want to put in are your wet ingredients, okay? So we're going to go ahead and put in our sour cream, and that's 8 ounces of sour cream, okay? If you squeeze the cup, the whole thing just comes out. It's perfect. Okay, then we're going to need a ½ cup of vegetable oil. Okay, ½ cup. Again, you can use different kinds of oil. Doesn't matter. Don't use one that has a really strong taste. Like, don't use extra virgin robust olive oil because you're going to taste it. All right. So that's half a cup right in there. Okay. The next thing we're going to put in is the vanilla extract. I don't measure vanilla extract. If you want to measure, I would say put in about a teaspoon. That's about a teaspoon. Maybe a little less. Okay, and the next thing we're going to put in are our 4 eggs. So let's come over here and our eggs. Now again, I said 1 egg at a time. So we crack it in here and then we put it in here. Okay, and you do that 4 times. Okay, and if you get some shell in here, it's easy to pick it out from here. It's not easy to pick it out from. Okay, welcome back. We have been beating the batter for about 2 minutes or so, and what we're going to do now is we're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl like so. Make sure everything is well mixed. Looks fabulous. Look how nice and shiny and glossy that batter is. It's beautiful. I know you would like to have the beaters right now, or the beater, because this is a paddle mixer. Okay, so we're gonna get that all scraped off there. Oh, that is gorgeous. Okay, poke this on a little bit. All right, so we're ready to get our cake put. So we're gonna give this a little mix around. And that is beautiful, and it is ready to be turned into cake, okay? So we're gonna come over here. Now you wanna grease your pan really well so your cake doesn't stick. You can use butter, you can use Crisco, or you can use what I'm using, which is coconut oil. You wanna make sure you get the sides. Get the sides. Be generous with your shortening, okay? Be generous with it. You don't want your cake to stick. Okay, so your pan's ready. So what you're gonna do is come over here and get your batter, okay? Now we wanna put half the batter, half of this batter in your cake pan, okay? Not an exact science, so don't worry. There we go. There we go. Spread that around a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Okay, just spread that around. You want it to get to the sides of the pan, like so. This is a 10-inch cake pan, and it's 3 inches deep. That's a little bit, you know, specialized for some people. A lot of people don't have 10-inch cake pans hanging around. If you don't have a 10-inch cake pan, you can use a bundt pan, okay? You can use a couple of standard cake pans, all right? If you want to make a layer, you can use a 9x13. You can use a brownie pan if you want to. Doesn't matter, okay? So we're going to spread that out. Okay. Next thing you want to do is you want to take your chocolate chips. Now, my mom uses Nestle chocolate chips, and I gotta tell you, it makes a difference here. I know I've told you before, use whatever cake mix, use whatever pudding mix you want for this cake, okay? So you're gonna take roughly half the chocolate chips, and you're gonna put them in your cake batter, okay, like so. There you go, sprinkle them around, that's good. Just gonna get them all in there, all right? That's about half. Whoops, ooh, some fell. Okay. You're going to take your cake mix, the rest of your cake batter, and you're just going to put it on top of your chocolate chips here, okay? There you go. Use your spatula, your scraper to get all the cake batter out of the bowl, okay? Because you don't want to waste any of it. Even if you're going to lick it later, you don't need to lick that much. You've already got the beater. Don't get greedy, okay? Okay. Get all that out. Then we're just going to spread it over the chocolate chips. Okay, just like this. Turn your pan. Spread, 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 spread. Okay, just like so. Don't drop it. Okay, there we go. Our chips are all covered, right? Okay, and let's get that batter in that cake. Okay, there you go. All right. Then you're going to take the rest of the chips, and you're going to sprinkle them over the top of your cake, okay? Okay, now this is ready. This is ready to go in the oven. All right, 350 degrees. So let's get this in. Now this is going to be in the oven for 45 to 50 minutes. So we're going to put it in here and come on back and we will have finished cake. Okay? There we go. Okay, see you soon. Hey, welcome back. It's been about 50 minutes and we are going to check on the cake. Get the oven mitts on. This is hot. And let's see, pull it out and take a look at this. See how the cake is kind of pulled away from the sides of the pan? That means it's done, okay? Now normally when you do a cake, you can stick a tester in there, a toothpick or a knife, and if it comes out clean, the cake is done. But because this is a chocolate chip cake, you can put a tester in here, a knife or a toothpick. It's going to come out chocolatey because you've got chocolate chips in here. So that's not a reliable way to tell if your cake is done. A much more reliable way is to see is the cake pulling away from the sides of the pan. See how it's pulled away from the sides of the pan? That cake is done. That's how you tell, okay? So we're going to turn the oven off. And then you don't want to cut a cake right after it's come out of the oven because it's going to fall apart. Even if it's done, and this cake is definitely done, even if it's, you know, perfectly cooked, the problem is it's still going to be very liquidy inside for a little bit after you take it out of the oven because everything's boiling hot. So we are going to take a tea towel, clean tea towel, and we're going to drape it over the cake like so, okay? And then we're just going to let it sit. And in about 10-15 minutes, it's going to be ready to serve, ready to cut. It'll be nice and warm, so if you want to eat it with a scoop of ice cream, you can. Otherwise, you can let it sit for a little bit longer, and then it'll be a nice, firm, moist piece of cake for you to take out of the tin, okay? So we're going to go ahead and let it sit for a little while, and when we come back, we're going to have cake. Hi there, welcome back. This is the moment we've been waiting for. It's cake tasting time. So I'm going to call in my husband, babe.
I smell cake.
Yeah, the chocolate chip cake from my mom. Yeah, so let's see how it turned out.
Very chocolatey. I love it.
Yeah. What do you think?
Not chocolate. You get your own fork.
Wow, let me try some here. Oh,
Moist.
yeah, it's nice and moist. Oh, it's really dark and chocolatey. The chocolate chips are right in the middle where they belong.
Good chips.
Mom, thank you.
Thank you, Ellie.
Yeah, this is a great cake. Be sure you try out this cake, okay? See you next time on my mom's recipe box. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.